Did you hear what Russia just did in the early hours of the morning? And do you know why this single move sent NATO into emergency alerts across Europe? Do you know what's really happening right now? Stay with me, because when you hear the full story, you'll understand why officials in Washington, London, and Brussels are watching every second unfold. The world is shifting fast, and tonight, the stakes are higher than they've been in years. Tonight, we're witnessing something defense analysts have feared for months, a turning point that didn't unfold over days or weeks, but in minutes. Minutes that triggered urgent calls between Washington and Brussels. Minutes that made it clear a line everyone hoped would never be crossed has now been crossed. Earlier this morning, Russia made a move that was not subtle, not ambiguous, and certainly not routine. It was a direct escalation, a step beyond Ukraine's borders, something analysts have warned could shift the entire trajectory of this conflict. But the moment that line snapped, Ukraine didn't hesitate. They responded fast, with precision, and with a determination that showed they knew exactly what was at stake. But what exactly did Russia do? For weeks, there had been hints, not official statements from the Kremlin, but patterns, small movements, subtle signals that something unusual was brewing. Traditionally, Russia's escalation has a rhythm. They escalate, then pause. They posture, then deny. They shuffle assets, then pretend nothing has changed. But this week, that rhythm went silent. And when Russia goes silent, it's rarely peaceful. It's almost always the quiet right before something very loud. In Brussels, analysts monitoring long-range Russian aviation noticed something chilling. Data streams that usually show movement, refueling patterns, encrypted chatter, suddenly flattened. The fuel trucks that normally creep around air bases at night, they weren't moving. Security perimeters that usually tighten before a major operation froze, and encrypted communications, which spike when Russia prepares something significant, silent. That silence meant something. It was coming, and at dawn, it arrived. U.S. early warning systems detected a coordinated shift in Russian launch posture, including the forward movement of long-range strike aircraft into positions they haven't occupied since the peak of the Crimea crisis nearly a decade ago. These aren't aircraft Russia shuffles around for training. These aren't platforms they move to make a point. When Russia deploys these assets, they send a message: escalation, deterrence, or a test to see how fast the West reacts. Analysts weren't sure which message it was, but they all agreed something had changed. And when a nuclear-armed nation shifts posture without warning, every alarm in NATO goes off. Meanwhile, NATO's internal warning system issued an alert that was anything but routine. Officials called Russia's move destabilizing, unpredictable, and most importantly, operationally meaningful. The phrase used only when real-world consequences are possible if no one intervenes. Can you imagine the tension inside those NATO briefings? But here's where the story takes a sharp turn. Deterrence only works if the target stops long enough to feel deterred. Ukraine did not stop. Ukraine did not hesitate. Within less than 1 hour, Ukraine launched one of the fastest reaction sequences of the entire war. They prepared a counterstrike using long-range, high-precision weapons, the kind they reserve for moments when hesitation could mean disaster. Senior defense officials now confirm Ukraine hit 3 Russian military sites believed to be part of the escalation. One of them was a launch support facility that had recently gone on heightened alert. Another was the command node coordinating aircraft movements. The last was a forward radar station likely meant to guide long-range operations. In other words, Ukraine struck the backbone of Russia's escalation before it could fully activate. But what triggered Ukraine to act so quickly? NATO intelligence believed Russia's sudden posture change wasn't symbolic. It was the start of an actionable sequence, something that could have enabled a strike threat towards US or NATO installations in Europe. Ukraine understood the gravity instant, and their response wasn't reckless. It was strategic, targeted, and accurate. But this is where things get even more concerning. Western intelligence now believes Russia's sudden posture change may have been a test, a probe to see whether Ukraine was exhausted, whether the West had slowed its support, whether reaction times had degraded. But Ukraine's response, it showed the opposite. Analysts described Ukraine's timing as so precise, it almost mirrored Russia's own preparation schedule. That's not luck. That's not improvisation. That's a military that has become proactive, reading Russian signals in real time and ready to counter before escalation becomes irreversible. Do you think Russia expected Ukraine to react this quickly? As the day unfolded, more details emerged. Ukrainian air defense units launched coordinated suppression fire to force Russian counter-battery systems to reposition. Drone operators struck a key rail junction moving equipment towards forward airfields. Special operations forces disrupted communications deep behind Russian lines. This wasn't tit-for-tat warfare. This was a preemptive breakdown of a Russian escalation sequence. And historically, that's the one thing Russia has struggled to overcome. Even today, Russia launched 650 drones and 14,700 attack drones across Ukraine's territory. The scale is staggering, a grinding war of attrition. But Ukraine has adapted, improving countermeasures, drone warfare, and rapid response strategies. And this isn't the first time Ukraine has struck deep. Over the winter, Ukraine hit Russian oil refineries, causing historic dips in Russian exports and signaling a shift from purely defensive operations to strategic economic pressure. But the human cost remains devastating. Putin threatened further retaliation, signaling the dangerous cycle both nations are now locked inside. Still, NATO believes today's warning may have prevented Russia from completing an escalation sequence that could have been catastrophic. Tonight, Russia appears quiet, too quiet. And when Russia is quiet, they're not retreating, they're recalculating. Ukraine's message was clear. Escalation will be met immediately. NATO's message was clear. They will not look away. And Russia's next move is what the world is waiting for. Because in this conflict, silence is not peace. Silence is preparation. The next 48 hours will be critical. If this video gave you clarity on what's unfolding, make sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us bring deeper, clearer, and fully researched updates straight to you. Stay safe and stay informed.